Welcome to the fourth meeting of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Unfortunately, Chairman Storm is in the House testifying right now, so he has asked me to go ahead and proceed with the meeting to get it moving along. We have 4 bills on the agenda today. I would ask that before we get started to please silence your phones. Mr. Clerk, if you could, please call the roll.
Senator Carroll.
Here.
Senator Deneen.
Here.
Senator Neal. Senator Nemes.
Present.
Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Stivers. Senator Thomas.
Here.
Vice Chair Wheeler.
Present.
Chair Storm.
All right, we have a quorum. First on the agenda, we have Senate Bill number 7. Senator Bledsoe, if you could proceed to the lectern and introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Amanda Mays Bledsoe. I'm the state senator from District 12.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman and committee members. I'm here to present Senate Bill 7. This is a legislation to safeguard individuals from the unauthorized commercial use of their unclothed likeness. Called the Right of Publicity Act, the bill establishes explicit legal protections to ensure a person's image cannot be used for profit without explicit consent. This legislation is about personal dignity, privacy, and control. In an era where digital manipulation and unauthorized distribution of images are increasingly common, individuals must retain full agency over their likeness. When we think about AI, it's evident we're living in terrifying times because images of us or our children can be generated completely digitally. We have to put protections in statute to deal with those dangers because these dangers are real. The proposed law extends the protections to both living and deceased individuals and restricts the unauthorized commercial use of their unclothed bodies for advertising, merchandise, or fundraising purposes. To ensure a balanced approach, the bill carves out exemptions for artistic works such as literature, theater, musicals, films, and other works, and under certain conditions, promotional material or advertisements for news, reporting, or entertainment mediums. The Act recognizes the importance of free expression while reinforcing individual rights. Senate Bill 7 defines an unclothed body in the bill, and I'm happy to go through that if needed. The Act establishes penalties for violations, allowing affected individuals or their estates to seek financial damages and legal recourse. I recognize that this is a complex issue that intersects with existing legal standards regarding public figures and expressive works. My goal is to foster meaningful discussions that protect personal rights without undermining legitimate media and artistic expression. As both a legislator and a mom, I believe this is necessary to ensure that human dignity and personal privacy are our top priorities. I would add that I have had conversations with some of our broadband communications and internet providers, and I will have a floor amendment if this bill moves forward to address some of their concerns moving forward. I'm happy to take any questions.
Senator Thomas.
Good morning, Senator Bledsoe. Look, I know how hard you worked and we worked on the AI task force over the summer. I like this bill. I am going to support it. But in looking over this bill last night, I wonder why it just has a 10-year lifespan. I don't know why it should have a lifespan at all. I think of some great figures. Prominent figures in our history. I'm thinking of Elvis Presley, comes to mind immediately, and he still has profitability even today. You know, he's been dead now over 50 years. So why the 10-year lifespan? Why a lifespan at all on this bill?
You know, I'm happy to work with you on that. The 10-year was mostly because California has some protections already in that space for celebrities, if you will, and someone like a Presley. Is not so much for the person who's an individual. And I'm happy to consider that. The 10 years was somewhat arbitrational.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, you've answered my question.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the bill? Motion. Do I hear a second? I second. All right. Senator Stivers, did you have a question? Oh, okay. All right. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Carroll.
Vote aye and explain my vote. When I read this last night, immediately sent a message saying we need to talk about this. This one's a little bit different, and it's going to take a little bit to absorb all the different factors of this. but I commend you. I mean, this is where we are as a society, and we struggle to get in front of AI. We struggle to really understand the extent of AI and the impact it's going to have on our society. So I think this is a step to get in front of it, and I'm sure there will be work on this bill as we move along, and probably breaking some ground in the country with this bill. So I commend your efforts on it, and I'm glad to vote aye on the bill.
Senator Deneen. Senator Neal. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Reed. Senator Stivers. Senator Thomas. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Chair Storm.
Okay. All right. The vote or the bill passes 8-0. It will be reported with favorable expression to the floor. Thank you, Senator Bledsoe.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Senate Bill 130. Senator Maiden, please approach the table and identify yourself for the record. And your guest.
Good morning. Senator Scott Maiden, Senate District 29.
Shannon Stiglitz, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for the Kentucky Retail Federation.
You may proceed.
Thank you. I think we have a substitute.
Do I have a motion on the sub? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
It wasn't agreed. It was agreed on all parties on it. So
Okay,
it's
so
friendly.
the sub is now adopted. You may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Maiden, representing Senate District 29. I'm here today to discuss Senate Bill 130 that will address gift card scams and theft of gift card redemption information that is impacting communities across the country, including communities right here in Kentucky. Just last year, local police here in the Commonwealth uncovered separate $1 million+ gift card scams targeting supermarkets in both Louisville and Lexington. Gift card tampering and scams are emerging as a new, intensifying dimension of the broader organized retail crime phenomenon across North America. This type of fraud is frequently carried out by multinational criminal rings, including some of folks linked to China, and is connected to broader illegal activities such as money laundering, fentanyl production and distribution, illegal migration, and human trafficking. While card issuers, distributors, and retailers have implemented numerous preventative measures, sophisticated fraudsters adapt quickly to circumvent such measures. To counter this threat, industry leaders are collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement authorities, regulators, and other stakeholders to develop and advocate for legislation that assigns clear criminal penalties for gift card tampering and scams, providing law enforcement the tools they need to arrest and prosecute perpetrators is essential to dismantling the criminal enterprise and ensuring the protection of gift cards customers. How does the scams work? Individuals called takers swipe a shelf of the gift cards, manipulate the cards to obtain the redemption information. The information is recorded. Placers return gift cards to the store shelves. Consumers purchase the gift cards, and criminal checkers await the activation to begin draining the gift card balance. The crime is against the consumer, many of whom may not know for months until they use the card that it is a tampered card. The Senate committee substitute will establish clear criminal penalties for the gift card tampering, scams, and unauthorized use of redemption information. The legislation proposes to make define gift card tampering a felony. That is important because while the cards are being tampered with, they have no monetary value attached to the card. It defines the face value of the gift card to address the lack of economic value on the card. It adds gift card fraud to the credit card fraud statute. And the Senate committee sub that you have before you also was reached in an agreement with the Defense Bar and the Department of Public Advocacy. I thank you for the opportunity to present Senate Bill 130, and I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Do I have a motion on the bill? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, no questions. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Carroll. Senator Deneen. Senator Neal. Senator Nemus.
I'd like to explain my vote.
Yes, sir.
This actually happened to us. We gave some gift cards away for Christmas and started getting calls from our friends and family and said that they were no good. So we went back to the store and they said, too bad. Can't do anything about it. Some of them were bought by charge cards, which did honor them. But you're right, you're just out. So I vote aye.
Senator Reed. Aye. Senator Stivers. Aye. Senator Thomas. Aye. Senator Wheeler.
Very good bill. I vote aye.
Chair Storm.
Okay, I believe that the count is 8-0. The bill passes with favorable expression and will proceed to the floor. Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're going to go just a little bit out of order. If we could have the people on Senate Bill 244 come up. And although I think we're very familiar with your guest, Senator Howell, if I could have both of you all please identify yourselves for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Howell, Senate District 1. I thought I'd come along and help my guest here with the committee process in case he wasn't familiar with it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will Schroeder, Senior Counsel for Attorney General Coleman.
You may proceed.
Thank you. As the Senator from Marion would say, I think Senate Bill 244 is a simple little bill. It is our reorg cleanup bill. As members will recall, this honorable body gave the Attorney General's office administrative hearings and child support from the Cabinet of Health and Family Services, transitioned that to the Attorney General's office. So although it's a 74-page bill, the majority of the changes are simply name changes for some cleanup that was overlooked last time. In addition to the administrative hearings and child support, last session this honorable body passed the data privacy, and in anticipation of that, we also set that up as well. So certainly happy to answer any questions. I will.
Motion on the bill.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Senator Carroll. Senator Deneen. Senator Neal. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Stivers. Senator Thomas. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Chair Storm.
Aye.
Bill passes 9-0. It shall proceed to the floor with favorable expression. Thank you very much, Senator Howell and Deputy General Schroeder.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
All right, thank you. Finally, we have Senate Bill 236. Senator Smith, if you could proceed to the table with your witnesses and have them identify themselves for the record.
To this committee, we appreciate you all letting us come before you. My name is Senator Brandon Smith. This is my guest.
I'm Melissa Goodman, Head of Security at Mohawk Energy.
Okay.
So
you may want to scoot your microphones up a little bit.
A little bit better?
Yeah, much better. All right. Proceed.
To start this morning, I don't think I've ever ventured over in front of Judiciary before. I've been here for a while, and I have a tendency of wanting to stay sort of in my own lane with energy. But I was made aware of this particular case, and I will tell you that you'll see here in just a few minutes why I felt compelled to do something about it. Miss Goodman is a veteran. She served our country and she came home, and like a lot of veterans as they come back to Eastern Kentucky, I believe she's from the senator from Pikeville's district, if I'm not mistaken, that they have a hard time sometimes after being in combat fitting back in. Sometimes they don't make the best choices, and I think Miss Goodman will probably admit to that. And so she ran afoul of the law when she got back home. And so she goes 14 years after having some trouble without having any more trouble. She has a job. She works sometimes up to 80 hours a week. And I know this, trust me. And is very accountable. She has renewed her driver's license in the period since this incident happened 2, possibly 3 times. Goes to the VA on a regular basis, has traveled out of the country, but she gets stopped for a seatbelt violation several months ago, and they surround her like a fugitive. And they go back, they have a $5,000 bond, they arrest her, they put her in jail for something. She didn't really even know what had happened at the time because she had been out of that kind of scene for so long that they had to go back and find what it was, and it had been a DUI case, and I think maybe possession of marijuana or something other from 14 years ago. So when I heard about it, I called and spoke to a judge. They had never made a single attempt to let her know. A court date had never been signed. They had never reached out to her. So day after day, as she waited to see what happened, her life went on. And she straightened her life up, and she has done a great job. But I will tell you, watching this unfold, it has really been tough for her to keep from being derailed. And she had shared some stuff to me that I did not realize our veterans go through. But I think it needs to be addressed, that you can go for that many years, for almost a decade and a half, and really get your life together and be treated as though she was trying to hide, like literally fugitive charges. And this is somebody that goes to the VA on a regular basis, pays taxes, has gone down to the DMV and had her license done twice, has traveled out of the country, and they hit her with this big bond, like she's some sort of flight risk, which I understand. She'll explain. They do this to a lot of veterans because they've been abroad.
All veterans that have been out of the country are considered flight risks when they're arrested.
So this goes on. So
we're being punished for being veterans.
But I'll yield to her, but I just want you to hear the same thing I did. I came into this only because, as she told me, and then I will have to tell you, I mean, not everybody, as you all know, as attorneys, will come and tell you the truth. But I did due diligence, and I did speak to several judges in this that looked this up, and there was no attempt ever made to let her know. And I think if she had not been in a situation where she works, they had compliance, that she would have probably lost her job, and now she's going to have to plead guilty to a felony for 14 years. And my thing is, how do people ever get their life straight? How do you ever get out of the system if it can come back and grab you a decade and a half later? And so I will yield to her and let her speak just briefly so you can hear her own story. But this is why I'm in front of you today.
I think Senator Nemes has a question. Okay, well, just take your time. You're amongst friends.
Okay, sorry. I spent a year in Kuwait, and I came back home after my discharge. For about 3 years, I really struggled. I had no place in this world. There was no help. I went to the VA. The VA flooded me with 1,000 psych meds, made the situation even worse than it was. So I spiraled completely out of control. Ended up moving from the area I was in back home, back to Eastern Kentucky, where my family was. My dad helped me. I got my life back the way it was supposed to go. I got the bad people out of my life, good people in my life. I moved on completely. This was not who I was. It's not who I am. And I don't want other people to have to be thrown back to the gutter. When you've clawed your way out of this gutter, and it is a gutter, when you've clawed your way out, you don't want to be thrown back after you've made this much progress. When you have conquered substance abuse and you're told by the court that you're still a criminal, you're still treated by the courts like a criminal, it's not easy to get past. And for me as a veteran, it brings the suicide play into it extremely fast. My depression and PTSD are extreme. And this has really thrown me for a loop.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Senator Nemes, did you have a question?
Yes. I really compliment you on getting your life back together, because we don't understand how hard it is to go through recovery that you've gone through. You're a very, very strong person, and I admire you for that. But I do have one question, because I need to take up for the courts some. I find it hard to believe that when you were arrested that you did not know you needed to go to court. And after you missed the court the first time, I could see there's 14 years.
There was no court missed, and that's why I wanted
District dismissed these charges completely. Circuit Court picked it back up and issued a warrant 2 years after the initial charges.
it never served it.
So it was dismissed?
In District Court. Circuit picked it back up. The grand jury wanted to indict me, so Circuit has it.
Thanks for the clarification.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I bring this to you on, you can see in here, I mean, I don't come in front of Judiciary, but I could not have somebody share a story with me like this. And just, not even as a senator, as a father, or somebody knows it, just as a humanitarian, I can't, there's something fundamentally wrong with what happened to her.
Okay. Chairman
And we
Storm,
need to
I
fix
think,
it.
has a question.
I just wanted to be very clear for the record. You're telling this committee that you were able to renew your driver's license on 2 occasions while
sir.
this warrant
And
was
I
active?
also flew to Florida during this time.
And
No,
where did you
never.
renew your license?
Pikeville.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Senator Carroll has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm going to leave that alone. I struggle with that because normally when a case is dismissed with a DUI or a misdemeanor possession, it's done, and I don't know that I've ever heard of a case being picked up. It's not a felony unless there was a felony charge. I don't understand how it got to the grand jury. So let's leave that alone and let's set aside this case. The question that I have from here on out, if you're arrested, you're charged, misdemeanor charge, you're released, you fail to appear, and a year later, the bench warrant goes away if there hasn't been any documented attempted service. What happens to the charge?
This particular case, I apologize, I can't answer you because, in Melissa's case, had she have been, served, or they had let her know that she had court or whatever, she would have complied, but she never got that chance. And so for me, everything I've found from looking at it is that the ball just got dropped. And that's the purpose of this bill, is that in these cases here that have gone a decade and a half, and there was no attempt made for the court, and I understand they get busy, but to come back and literally wreck somebody's life, and that has conquered one of the greatest things we have, getting out of substance abuse and literally working like she does. So that's my thing here, Senator Carroll.
I
don't have those answers.
Completely understand what you're saying, but this is one case. We're talking about changing an entire system that could have major impacts. And I know in our department, we would on occasion go through warrants, and we would pull warrants that were so many years old, take them back to the courts and let them take care of it. I don't think a year is, I see problems with that, because if somebody can hide for a year, then nobody's looking for them anymore, and unless they get arrested on something else, that charge is going to be pending on the books forever.
And a year may seem long to us here, but I'm assuming if you're the person on the other end of that, 2 years probably a long time. But I am agreeable to looking at the language. But there does have to be some way of addressing when something like this happens. We do have to let people know that there has to be some accountability for when people do fall through the gap, and they do. This is a case of it, that we hear them and we put some provision in there to make sure that this is mitigated, or at least give them the chance to not completely be blown out of the water, to be arrested, to be thrown in jail for multiple days. I mean, until the court is, which could be quite a long time. And then to have a bond set so high, $5,000 cash bond for somebody that, I was just shocked. And so that's why I brought it to this committee. One case for me is enough. I'm sure this is not probably the only one. It's just the only one I know about.
I don't.
Okay.
I'll stop here.
Senator Stivers, I think you had
Actually, I don't have a question for the people at the desk. I have more of a question to pose to our committee, because I think, Mr. Chair, and I don't practice as much as the chair does anymore, if there is an arrest for a misdemeanor, we could think terroristic threatening, criminal mischief second, any of those, the individual will be arrested or there will be a warrant issued for them. They have no knowledge if a warrant is issued for them until they're served.
That's right.
If they've come to court, if they've been served or jailed, then they would be given a court date upon making bond. If they fail to appear, that is a misdemeanor, it's not a felony, grand jury would never pick that up. But then if an FTA is issued, I think under this bill, if the FTA is not served, then the FTA would be basically almost a statute of limitations issue. If unserved, under this bill, it would cease to exist. But the underlying charge, if she has been served or it has been obtained, tolls the statute of limitation. The underlying charge is still pending. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, obviously, and I agree with you, Senator Stivers, and I was thinking, obviously, we don't have the whole case file in front of us, but it sounds like to me maybe there was an indictment issued by a grand jury at some point that was never served on our witness here for whatever reason. And the way I read this bill, it doesn't make the charge go away. So, I mean,
it's the FTA.
Yeah, the FTA.
And grand juries I have done years ago, misdemeanor indictments, because grand juries will hear a case and say it's not a felony, they'll return a misdemeanor indictment or refer back to district court.
Motion on the bill.
Second. I guess I can't second. Does anybody else have a second? Second from Senator Reed. Motion for Chairman Storm, second by Senator Reed. Mr. Clerk, if you want to call the... Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Neal had a question. I do apologize. You're good? You're good? All right. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Carroll.
I'm going to vote aye. And explanation, I understand. And I was more concerned about the charge itself. And if that warrant is still there on the underlying charges, then I understand this better. So thank you.
Senator Deneen. Senator Neal. Senator Nemes.
Explain my vote. I'm going to vote aye because I talked to Brandon about it. I think this is the proper thing to do in good intent, but I question the amount of time and might need to be other language in to protect the courts, because I think it's maybe sometimes hard to get a hold of people in the proper time. It could be problematic with our courts. So I want to talk to you about it.
Senator Reed. Aye. Senator Stivers. Aye. Senator Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to explain my aye vote.
Certainly.
We have a very compelling witness here, and your case does evoke a lot of sympathy. And Senator Stivers is correct. The underlying charge doesn't go away here. The underlying charge still remains. But let me say, in my opinion, we should not underestimate the bad actors and their savvy in this whole process. Because what you're going to have if we pass this is that you have bad actors who know the charges, who go underground for a year, saying, if I just go underground for a year, and they'll have criminal defense attorneys who will tell them this as well. Then the failure to appear will go away, and then they'll have to try to serve me again. That's what's going to happen here. And that loophole, I think, is going to come back to bite us, and we'll be dealing with that loophole at some point in the future. But for today, I will give a yes vote on this bill.
Senator Wheeler.
Mr. Chair, briefly explain my aye vote. Senator Thomas, to your point, I think that it does say that if the law enforcement agencies have attempted service, they can renew this. So I think that your concern might be alleviated by that. So I think that Senator Smith's bill does accommodate the scenario that you're talking about. So I vote aye.
Chair Storm.
Explain my yes vote. First and foremost, I'd like to remind everyone in the audience that we do have a sign-up sheet in the back of the room, and I pointed that out before the committee began. So if you would like to address the committee or speak against a bill, you're more than welcome to sign up, and we'll put you on the agenda or call you up to let you speak. Secondly, in these situations, I think if going to President Stiver's comment, if there's a private petition such as a theft case or some sort of property crime, assault, and they go to the law enforcement officer and they report this, the individual, the defendant, would never know about it unless or until it was served, if it was a private petition. Moreover, I think the court system also has the ability to issue criminal summons, notices to appear, and I think now with technology, some individuals can be sent emails or text messages about their obligations to appear. I'll put it that way. So for those reasons, I think this is a well-taken bill at this point, and I appreciate your work on it and the testimony.
Okay. Oh, and ma'am, if you could, please identify yourself again for the record. I don't think we got your name. Melissa Goodman. Okay. Well, thank you for appearing in front of the committee
Thank you
today.
for your time.
All right, Mr. Clerk, is it 9-0? All right. All right. So the bill passes 9-0 and be reported to the floor with favorable expression. Senator Smith, Ms. Goodman, thank you for appearing.
Thank you all.
And I believe that's the.
I need to
sorry, Chairman.
If I could register a couple yes votes, I would like to register a yes vote on Senate Bill 7 and a yes vote on Senate Bill 130.
All right. So noted. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right.